In this video I talk a lot about how to use AI to write HTML and CSS code to create a dynamic navigation bar for your website. Here's what I'm going to have AI help me produce. For this project I am going to give AI assignments with a maximum of 1 or 2 tasks at a time. This way I can make sure AI accurately produces what I want each step of the way. Giving AI too much at once can often lead to the code being incomplete. By focusing AI's attention on 1 or 2 elements at a time, I have found I get more accurate results. With that in mind, let's get started. I first go to openai.com and log in. If I didn't have login credentials, I would first complete the sign-up process. When I'm logged in, I start a new chat and give AI my first assignment. I'm going to start by having AI program my header container. In my prompt, I tell AI the size of the container, the background color, and give AI a link to my logo that I want included. I also outline how big I want the logo to be scaled and where I want it to be positioned. That's as much as I'm going to ask AI to do at this point. I'll add more elements to my code when I confirm that what AI produces works the way I'd like. After typing my prompt, I press enter. AI begins producing code for me to evaluate. I copy the HTML code and open Notepad++, a free text editor that I use to help when programming my projects. Click on the I Tech A Lot link in the video description below to learn how to download your copy of Notepad++. I paste the copied HTML code in a new document in Notepad++. I then save this file as index.html in my working folder. Once the HTML code is saved, I go back to the AI response and copy the CSS code. Returning to Notepad++, I create a new document and paste the CSS code there. I check back in the HTML code and copy the name AI gave my CSS file. I save my CSS file with this name into the same folder where the HTML code resides. Now I can review what AI has produced. I make sure the HTML file is active in Notepad++ and click on the View option in the menu bar. I then tap the View Current File in Item and select the browser where I would like Notepad++ to display the rendered HTML page. I'm using Firefox as my test platform, so I tap on the Firefox option. Notepad++ opens the web page defined by the HTML and CSS code generated by AI. Here's the preview of the web page AI programmed for me. Immediately I see a big issue. My logo is not where I wanted it to be. Somehow AI interpreted my prompt in a way that allowed it to place my logo well into the body of the web page. Let's see if AI can quickly correct this problem. I return to OpenAI and type in a new prompt. I tell AI that my last prompt made my logo appear in the wrong place on the page. Since I know my header is 150 pixels tall, I tell AI I want the existing code to be changed to make the logo begin at 75 pixels from the top of the page. When I finish my prompt, I press enter and wait for AI's response. I copy the CSS code and replace what I originally saved in Notepad++. Once saved, I return to my web page and tap refresh. Now, that's more like it. With the logo in the proper position, I now want to have AI add my navigation bar elements. I return to OpenAI and type a new prompt. I describe the individual navigation bar elements and direct AI where I want the bar items to be located. I also give AI all the details as to the color, size, and font type. I also attach the current HTML and CSS files to my prompt so AI will modify my current work rather than produce a new set of files. This helps ensure AI doesn't omit working functionality it has already created for me. When I'm finished typing my prompt, I press enter. I take the HTML and CSS code AI generated and replace the existing code in Notepad++. After saving both files, I refresh my web page to see the results. Not bad at all. However, there are a few design elements I'd like to change to make my header look more the way I want it to. So, it's time to give AI another task. I return to OpenAI and type in another prompt. I tell AI that I want to change the size, style, and color of the font to make it easier to see on the dark background. I also instruct AI to space the navigation bar elements further apart, since I will need the space for the functionality I will be adding very soon. When I finish typing, I press enter to see what AI did with my code. After pasting the updated CSS code in Notepad++, I refresh the web page to see what the changes produced. Not bad, but I think it could be better with some simple adjustments. Here's what I'm thinking. The font size is too big and I still don't think there's enough spacing between the elements. Let's consider how to make these changes. I could go back to AI and have it make these changes, but let's see if I can't figure out how to do this on my own. I return to Notepad++ and open my CSS file. There I see AI has made some notes for me regarding the size changes and spacing of the navigation bar elements. I'm going to manually update what AI changed and see how that looks. I changed the font size number from 20 point to 15 point. I also changed the right margin number from 30 pixels to 50 pixels. I saved the file, returned to the web page, tapped refresh to evaluate what effect this had on my work. That's more like it. I think this is good for now. If I want to change spacing or sizes, I can do so at any time in the future. Now that I have my navigation bar laid out the way I want, it's time to add some dynamic elements. I'll start with changing how the text looks when the mouse hovers over each element. I return to OpenAI and type the prompt shown on the screen now. I instruct AI to modify my existing code to allow the navigation bar elements to change color and to have a line drawn above and below each of the elements when the mouse hovers over the word. It's important for me to attach my existing CSS code to this prompt since I have made changes to it that AI isn't aware of. If I failed to do this, the font size and spacing of the elements I just changed would revert back to what AI produced earlier. After I replace my CSS code with what AI generated, I refresh my web page to see the results. Close, but not quite right. You see, AI has made the lines appear under the navigation bar element rather than having one line above and one line below. I think I've overwhelmed AI by asking too much at once. The prompt had multiple requirements, and it seems that AI missed my request to include one line above and one line below the element. Returning to the AI prompt, I explain how I want the lines to function in my navigation bar. Additionally, I provide the existing CSS code to ensure that AI focuses solely on fixing this particular issue without altering any other functionalities. When I finish typing the prompt, I hit enter to see what AI produces. After saving the work AI created, I refresh my web page to see the result. It looks great. AI fixed the line issue. Next step is to instruct AI to modify my code so that the layout of the lines look more pleasing. I return to the AI prompt and enter what you see on the screen. I want AI to make the lines stretch a little further on each side of the nav bar element and to space them out a little more above and below the word. Let's see what happens when I enter this prompt. Well, I think I can call that one a total fail. As I look back on my prompt, I see how AI could have done what it did. I definitely need to word my prompt differently. Here's how I think I'm going to fix this issue. In my new prompt, I will remind AI that the lines should appear only when the mouse hovers over the navigation bar element. I will also more accurately specify where I want the line above and below the element to begin and end. I'm also going to give AI my previous CSS code so it can be modified again. I don't want to use the code AI just created since elements aren't working correctly that were working before. Let's see how this prompt works. After saving the new CSS and refreshing my web page, I see the page isn't quite there yet. It's getting close, but my prompts are confusing AI at this point. You should realize that this often happens when working with AI to code projects. It is interpreting what you tell it as best as it can. When it comes to position of elements, I have found that you have to be incredibly specific to get the results you are looking for. Let's take a look at the CSS for some clues on how to proceed. In Notepad++, I open the CSS file. AI has noted the changes it has made from my last prompt. I like the thickness of the line, so I'm not going to be concerned with the 3-point height change AI made. I next look at the lines of code dealing with top and bottom sizes. I assume these numbers set the spacing between the lines and the word. Let's see what happens if I change the -4 to -10. After saving my CSS file and refreshing my web page, I can see the results of this change. I like that spacing so much better. Now I want to address where the lines start and end. I'm guessing that the left and right numbers in my code have something to do with where my line starts in my navigation bar. AI set the position as +12. Let's see what happens if I change both numbers to -12. After saving my changes, I refreshed my web page and sure enough that worked. Now my lines are starting where I believe they should, but they are not spanning the entire word like I want them to. The only thing I haven't changed is the width calculation found in the last line of the CSS code. AI has my code subtracting 24 points from the overall width. To have the line span the entire word, I think I need to have 24 points added too, rather than subtracted from the overall length. I change the negative sign to a plus sign, save the file and refresh my page. Amazing, the page is working just the way I want it to. Lesson here is don't be afraid to play with the code AI generates. You don't have to be an expert in what the code is doing in order to make changes that impact your work. A little trial and error goes a long way when working with AI to help code your project. Remember, if you mess things up badly, you can always go back to a previous version since all code AI produces is stored within the chat on OpenAI.com. That's it for this project. Even with little knowledge about programming HTML and CSS, you too can create a fairly dynamic navigation bar with the assistance of AI. Give AI a try for yourself and see what kinds of interesting projects you might be able to create. Thanks for watching this episode of iTechalot. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future releases.